broadcast system with NinjaCat 111 and Dezert-Owl.
Okay, g'day Lynn, welcome. Long time no chat. Welcome to the Forbidden History Chronicles. For any new listeners, you're here with NinjaCat 111 and Dezert-Owl from the Forbidden History Series YouTube channel. Land down under is fine at the moment, actually. We've had nice days and cold nights. I wouldn't say cold, cool nights. And it's very windy. But the heat wave for now has eased up. Got out in the... Oh yeah, love. Do I have new speakers? No, I probably just turned it up a bit more. Anyway, yeah, we got out in the Garnoon today and trimmed back some overgrown hedges and trees and things. It's been too hot to do anything out there, so it was good today. it looks a lot better. Anyway, we'll get into it. I'm just going to read the introduction that Desert wrote, The Signs of the Times. In essence, Desert discusses the history of the world and how the unseen hand has been running it from the very beginning of time, who they are and how they have founded all of the first great civilizations that are found all around the world, about who the giants really were, and the ancient Aryan caste and slave systems, the priesthoods, the anti-gravity V-manners, the Earth-based misnomered UFOs which are man-made, the control of all forms of communications, commerce, religion, mass media, pseudo-politics, etc. It is the grand deception that is used to control all of mankind, and all instituted through the three main religions of the world in particular, used as their grand cover. Their cyber code has been revealed to him because he has become adept within the study of the ancient alphabets, communications, symbolism, religion, custom, law, cosmology and mythology, not to mention the fallacy of today's political science and pseudoscience in particular. He can also define the true nature of their warfare, their shell game of bringing one civilization up for their temporary use and then taking it down for the next 500-year generational cycle, as symbolized by the classical phoenix. Desert can discuss the ultimate in mind control and ancient art and the financial control, the secret societies and their blood occult rituals, and how they wage all wars throughout all time through the nations that they have created, which are all imaginations, plantations, and mere corporations. They have taken blood oaths to surrender their self-will and mind to their blind goddess, who has demanded our blood from the very beginning of time. They communicate to their minions through the movies, TV, and print media, while he can see, read, and interpret most all of it. It all says that they are using us for our ingenuity, for our collective constructive labour, for experimentation, and in the end they intend to kill us all. They have given us full notice of what they are doing and what they fully intend to do, while all of the general population, the sheeple, they merely go there to be entertained. The New World Order is the Old World Order from the beginning of time. There is a major cosmic natural disaster that is about to happen on Earth, and they know it. But they are cleverly leaving us in the dark, hence the reason that they have built hundreds of underground bases all around the world, while they are leaving all of the people to remain unprepared, uninformed, and above ground, so that when it comes, the mere 5% who will survive above ground will die from the weaknesses and disease that has been generated from all of the poisons that they have been feeding us, from the chemtrails to fluoride in the water, to tainted vaccines, to fake food, etc., etc. They have enslaved us all by the clever means of deception, because we, most all, are their cattle, chattel, property. Because they merely wanted to harness our labour, what they always needed, which is what backs most of the world's currency through the birth certificate, but they are all through with us now. It is written in stone, as it can be seen written in the Georgia Guidestones. To know the truth is to be empowered and to be prepared. We may not be able to stop what has been done and what is about to happen, but the innocent and decent people on planet Earth deserve to know. And that was written by Dezert-Owl, who is here with us now. And Desert, I'd just like to bring something up, actually. You made me think of something. Your introduction made me think of something. Anyway, how's it going? We'll say hello first.
Okay. Hey there, Ninja. Good to be on with you. And I've got part of my computer set up, so I'm opening up Skype right now. If somebody wanted to call in Free America Radio, all one word, Free America Radio, for a direct question, that they can join me on Skype or text me a question directly on Skype, and I'm going to access your channel as well so I can follow the chat. I can't log into my account yet, so I'm not able to chat with anybody directly, but I am available for Skype calls at this time. So,
yeah. And being able to see the chat, you'll be able to see the questions, so that'll make it
right.
it a bit easier.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Reading about the underground bases, it just made me think. I noticed over summer here, quite a few politicians, like one after another. Sometimes there'd be like 3 in a row in as many days, resigning. And another one just did yesterday, a very well known one, Bronwyn Bishop. She resigned yesterday or the day before. And it just made me think, like, because we're running out of time and the world is ruined and that's speeding up, like we're seeing the decline everywhere, with the planet, with the wildlife, the animals, the nature, the trees, the insects, everything, and the manufactured weather, all the disasters, and it's all happening at once. Like, and there's also the wars and the rumors of wars going on, constantly. It made me think that maybe the politicians here are slowly, oh, actually I wouldn't say slowly, but maybe they're starting to go underground, because time is short. Anyway, that made me think of that. So yeah. Yeah. So wow.
Well, they are underground. There are cities underground right now,
yeah,
that are fully functional. And
we've got one underground here. Yeah, we've got tunnels everywhere under here, like under Canberra. Yeah. Yeah, sorry. Please continue. Yeah.
No, wasn't there something else that you wanted to share before we got started today? I didn't want to
yeah, I had a something organized in my head I was thinking about before, but I don't know if it's going to come out right. Yeah, I just wanted people to know, like, especially if you've just joined or if you've just come across this channel, or if you're just discovering the truth. Yeah, it's not too late. Some of you that have been with us, like, that started watching on Desert's channel on the Forbidden History series, you know my progress. I've gone from, like, I still am, I've always been an introvert, but I've gone from being too scared to pick up the phone and call in on Desert's streams to becoming a regular on Desert's streams, and that was a very hard thing to overcome. And in doing that, I was trying to show an example. I don't know how to put it. I'm just trying to lead by example, like show some hope, that it's possible to I don't know, to be able to open up to the truth at this late hour. It's not too late. I want to be inspiration for people, and that's part of the reason why I'm doing this. It's part of the reason why I'm doing the live stream. It took a lot of courage to do that too, and a lot of fumbling with the technology, and a lot of patience from Desert, so thank you. And now we're doing it, and yeah, I hope we can inspire people to open their minds and maybe take a leap, and call in and speak to you, Desert. He doesn't bite. He's very very easy to talk to. So yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to say that. So.
Well, great. You were my only caller. With maybe an exception or two, but you were calling in regularly, and that made a big difference for the programming. Many of us are isolated, actually, and alone, and so we find it our social activity to meet other people on the internet. Of course, when you wake up to the truth, then you find that there's nobody substantive to talk to because they're all uh, eating just cake and ice cream and think life is rosy, and they cannot process the grand scheme of what is really happening in the world. They can only buy into a pre-programmed lie that they have been fed from the beginning of their life.
Yeah.
So
it's
it's a great opportunity. I hope that the friends out there will share your broadcast with others and tell them to come in, because we do talk about things that nobody else talks about, and
we do.
And to me, that's pretty exciting. You know, I enjoy sharing, and I'm grateful for the opportunity.
Cool. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here, Desert. I really am.
All right. So I just finished a book.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to share it because we have to try to make sense out of things, and there's a lot of information on the internet, but the thing that's really bad with all the information that's out there is a lot of it is not true, correct, complete, and very often it's misleading. There's a lot of disinformation. There's a propaganda machine, and so and on top of it off, now I find out that it looks like YouTube is engaged in allowing for depraved pedophile rings to use YouTube with the cancellation of the algorithm when these events are occurring on their channel. And I'm saying it because I know, one, they hate the truth. They hate the truth because they censor all of the good people that want to bring forth reality and honest reporting, and they only allow for propaganda and the trolls, and then also now, as I learned, pedophile rings are part of their agenda as well.
Yeah.
I wouldn't state it if I weren't certain it was true. A reporter brought forth the evidence. I saw the evidence, and so I'm stating it as apparently it must be true, because we know their pattern of wanting to destroy good people and people that have dedicated tens of thousands of hours on YouTube, like Higher Truth Channel or like Vigilant Christian or these other wonderful researchers out there, and they have just dropped them at the drop of a hat, not even giving consideration to the fact that if they had a legitimate problem with them, they could contact them and say, don't do this or don't do that. But to take somebody's entire means of making a living, tens of thousands of hours of dedicated work and research, and just to cut them off is about as indecent as anything ever could get.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, Desert.
Not to mention pedophilia.
Yeah.
Not to mention that.
I'm not surprised at all. I've seen, and I know Lynn has seen, Lynn was in a live stream, but I've seen it with a few others as well. But this happened during a live stream. Decent guy. The channel, I'm not familiar with the channel, but I had a look at the stream. Very decent guy, family man, just streaming his channels about how to do things yourself, kind of a do-it-yourself kind of channel, and do things at minimum cost and all that sort of thing. And he got a phone call from the police during his stream, and somebody had called in and said that he had stabbed his wife and his son. I'm trying to remember the story now. His wife was dead, and I think it was his son as well. I think they said his son was dead as well. And his son and his wife were sitting there right in front of him while he was on the phone to the police, and he had to go through the whole thing. So he kept the stream going and waited for the police to get there. And yeah, it was so unnecessary, and this sort of thing is happening more and more to decent channels. So I'm not surprised with that pedophile thing that you just mentioned at all. Not surprised. yeah. So, and just all the silly little things that could be passed off as glitches with, swatting, that's it, Lynn. All the silly little things that can be passed off as glitches, like with the algorithms, just things like comments not showing up, or videos uploading and then getting switched onto private or unlisted. Just all sneaky little things like that. Comments getting changed or deleted. Yeah, it's just crazy. It's crazy. So anyway, that was my my little 2 cents worth on that. So do you want to get into some of the good news, Desert, now?
Yeah, just give out my contact information Ninja first, okay, and I'll be right with you.
Okay. Okay. Desert's channel name is the Forbidden History series on YouTube. All necessary links are in the description of all these live streams, all the Forbidden History Chronicle live streams. It sounds like Desert's going to be up and running soon, hopefully, as well. But in the meantime, we're doing the streams on my channel, and then we'll be alternating. Anyway, Desert, for the new listeners, Desert is working on the most important transliteration project in history. So if you would like to support that project, any size donation will do. You can go to www.therealpublicradio.net. That's www.therealpublicradio.net, and just hit the donate button. You will receive PDFs. There's one of the Real Da Vinci Code Etymological Dictionary. There's also a sample of the book of... There's also a sample of the original Gospel, with a more up-to-date version of the dictionary attached, and there is also a PDF of the Book of Wisdom. I highly recommend that you get hold of them and read them. They're fantastic, especially if you're new to this. It's a good way to start. If you can't afford to donate, just contact Desert or myself, and we will organise some copies for you. All the details are in the description. You can also call Desert on 608-566-7295. That's 608-566-7295. International, just add a +1 at the start. So you can give him a call or send him a text. My email is in the description, so you can also get hold of Desert through me. I can pass on messages, and I can send you the PDFs. So anyway, also, if you feel like you're playing catch up, because it's a lot of information to digest, you can also go back onto Desert's channel. To the start of the live streams, they were on June 21st last year, so that's from June 21st 2018. I highly recommend you do that. It's really good listening, it's really interesting, and Desert walks you through it, so it's easier to see the big picture and understand. Okay. Right.
Thank you, Ninja.
No worries.
Right, so I want to do a quick book review. I reviewed a book today on, and by the way, this whole thing about the technology and YouTube and none of it's going to be around very long. It's our timeline is not so short. they're here just controlling the narrative on our planet, and because there's a the grand scheme, and basically their agenda is to take down the world. I saw this profound presentation last night by a lady that came out of Mormonism, and she had 13 sisters, I believe it was, and amazing. All their mother did was breed children, and they were all in the secret government, and under control, mind control, MK Ultra, and the story was terrific. It was a 1-hour presentation. I don't know the name of it because I deleted or closed out that window from last night. I'm trying to remember the point that I was going to make with that. Well, they're they talked about the underground bases that are fully operational, and of course then the military operation they were used, and they were in the military, and the things that were presented by her story was absolutely akin to what Kathy O'Brien and Mark Phillips.
Oh, okay,
Mark Phillips
I've seen some of those. Yeah,
90s in particular. That's when they came out. So so the point I wanted to make was in there. She said that the thing that these psychopaths enjoy doing, and it was confirmed by the guy that spoke before her, which was that international banker that they finally assassinated, but he came out. And the one thing that they all pretty well pointed out, so we can really appreciate what's happening with our planet right now, this is why I'm bringing it up, is these psychopaths that are running our world love to destroy everything. That is their passion. That is their goal. And part of the reason behind that, the psychology, is because they were all, of course, in this generational Illuminati psychopathic world that they ritually, from the day their little ones come into the world, begin to rape them, whether they're boys or girls. And by doing that, that's the initial stage of mind control,
the trauma,
and fragmenting the mind in compartmentalization, and also alters the mind so that it can actually have perfect recall and enhanced acute awareness, and all these other things develop from psychopathic sexual abuse. And so because they have been abused, they want nothing other than to do the same thing to everybody else. That is the psychology of one who has been ritually traumatized and abused. Not to say that it is across the board, but it was well pointed out by the first speaker. I don't know his name, but it was a gentleman who actually came out and turned his life around and brings forth the greatest presentation and quality of himself at the same time. But he being started out with him just being beaten by his father, decided he was the bully then at school. He wanted to beat everybody else up. Then they put him in a Catholic boys retreat, and then he was ritually abused by the Catholic priest for a few years. And so all he wanted to do was to give pain to everybody else. And that's basically the mindset of these psychopaths. Because they were ritually abused, they have no compassion. Their heart have been locked in a cell that can't come out. And so it is beyond rationalization. It is an algorithm that is perpetuated from generation to generation. And of course the perks are good, when money's no longer an issue, and you can do anything you want to do, go anywhere you want to go, abuse anybody you want to abuse. There's no greater sense of power, basically, on the planet, I guess, right? I agree totally.
Like I've researched all of that. It's a repeating pattern. It's just so another repeating pattern. And they get off on it. They love creating fear, and that's how they control.
So when we question, like when we watch Dane Wigington on YouTube, Dane D-A-N-E, and second name Wigington W-I-G-I-N-G-T-O-N of geoengineeringwatch.org, and then people ask the question, well, why would they do this? Why would they destroy their own world? It's because they're happy to. They're happy to be engaged in the secret order of chaos and destruction. Their intention fully is to destroy the world. It's not an accident. It is by pre-design and precognition. There is no accident here. It is their grand scheme because they're going to take everybody down with them. It's what the psychopath does in the end of the hostage routine, right? He blows himself and everybody else up, right?
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. So they know they can't transcend. They know they're not going back. They hate Yahweh. They hate Yeshua. They hate the one who made the cosmos. And to pay him back, because they are destroyed, they are going to destroy everything. That's what they're doing.
And they want to take as many of us with them as they can.
Yeah. So the good news is there is an out for those who can be still, stop what they're doing, and turn off the boob tube, and get focused, because it is possible to transcend this world. That is the antithesis to their thesis. You see, because as great as the lies and deceptions are, the truth is even greater. But it's a miracle to know the truth. There is I don't remember the quote now, but there's the truth, but then there's the whole truth, and there is truth out there. The truth in general is brought through by our scriptures, but our scriptures have been manipulated by priesthoods, and so they don't give the full gamut of what is essential in that algorithm of being able to wake up and transcend, and we get on a merry-go-round going in circles and cycles of not transcending, because with religion, it's called religion is not a bad word by itself, but it's taken on a negative connotation, because people see the merry-go-round and forget it, Islam or Judaism. We'll just talk Christianity, and that decent people, when they see the hypocrisy and phoniness in Christianity, would rather be decent sinners than to be a part of the hypocrisy that we find in what we call Christianity today. So there's a grand illusion and deception that has been orchestrated through the power broker religions of the Vatican, and stemming through Hinduism and the ancient Aryan Brahmin priesthood, and so it's vast. It's a world network of control priesthoods. They control Islam. They control Judaism. They control Hinduism. They control Brahmanism. They control all of the factions of religion. But in the sacred scriptures are found the elements of truth. And so even though they changed certain words and played certain games with their mind control systems, still the beauty behind the facade is that when one pierces the veil, remember one of the things I kept saying over and over, if you want to find the truth, just look for all the lies. And once you start unraveling, you find the lies.
Exactly.
Then you can sift away. You can sift away what's the phony, and then you can find the truth. And it is still in the words. And that's, as you know, what we talk about. Real quick, I'll get to that book, and I'll give an example of some transliteration that I'm doing, getting ready with the translation project, the original thought transliteration project, and show you how the truths have been played on us. But there's a book I just finished. It's a very short one, 80 pages, called Jesus Spoke Aramaic: The Reason Why and Why It Matters, by Ewan McLeod, and that's MacLeod. And just in the back, I just finished it this morning, and I just want to mention one. And I hate referring to the Babylonian Talmud, quoting it, but there's nowhere better to get the quote than from these people that hate mankind, and to hear from their own words, because he says right in here, in what is they call it the Palestinian Talmud. They just want, it's probably the Jerusalem Talmud, but they don't even want to give credit to being the Jerusalem Babylonian Masonic Talmud. It says, "My son, let not Aramaic be lightly esteemed by you, as the Holy One, blessed be He, has seen fit to give it voice in the law, the prophets, and the writings. So those are the three primary books of what we all call the Old Covenant. And they said that it is the diction of the Old Covenant book. Remember, and I said just within the last few weeks that our scriptures were never in Hebrew, never.
Yeah.
This was a late, phenomenon when they came back from Babylon. After Israel was already annihilated, they no longer existed in truth, but only in name as a phony comeback group that were following the Babylonian Talmud. That's when you started using Hebrew, and I think it's because the Father put it in them because we wanted to be able to identify with them and know that we would want nothing to do with them, because these are the most wicked haters of mankind. In this group of psychopaths that we talked about. Not to say that there are not good, people that come out of these traditions, but we're talking about the culture, the agenda of the culture called Zionism, which means world domination, and they consider you cattle and not even a crime to commit genocide or to kill you. So the book throughout proves out, as George Lancet did from the 1930s, 1940s, and 50s. He came out of Kurdistan. That Aramaic is the diction that Yeshua spoke. All of our scriptures were originally done in Aramaic, then translated into Greek. That's why many of the Greek copies don't agree, whereas virtually all, without exception, across the board, all the Aramaic copies agree from all the different time periods. Even though there has been a trick played on the Aramaic as well, that is something I'll be talking about in the future, because they switched out our Aramaic alphabet, which we find in the capital letters called Phoenician alphabet today. Those letters are the takeoff of the original Aramaic, but they gave them a style that looks like Arabic or Pseudo-Sanskrit out of India, and it's called Demotic and El Strangulo. So the game has been played across the board. But it was Aramaic that preserved the original as best as possible, in spite of the fact that the Roman Empire told them to give up their Diatessaron copies, which were in the original script that we find in capital letters, and they took it away and gave them this demotic looking script that you would never want to have to learn how to study and read. So it's the grand conspiracy, and we have a lot of work to do to get caught up to speed. Ninja, I think you've been figuring that out as you've been listening to my broadcast, right?
Yes.
So the switch outs that continue are the beauty, at least behind being able to fix the problem, is you have to know what happened. If you don't know what happened, how can you ever begin to unravel the mystery? And so knowing that a priesthood has been controlling our words and lying to us is paramount in being able to unravel the mystery. And as I found, with certain words, like when it said Abraham was called out of Mesopotamia, and before he went into the Promised Land, he went into Haran. And so Haran, when you read a couple of the other versions, like in the Septuagint, I believe, or a couple other, or for our Fenton, they don't use Haran, it's Quran, and so they left off the C in our King James and in our other translations, and by leaving off the C, well, we never could get the picture, because Haran is Quran, and not to be associated with Islam, of course, but because it's a phony light as well, but it is the Corona. It means corona.
Oh,
and so Quran, So he went. What it means is that Abram, who becomes Avraham, who they call Abraham, but there you can hear the word Brahm.
Yep.
Brahm means from the sun, and what it means in the story is that he went first to the sun before he goes to the Promised Land. Because the sun is representative of the Promised Land, of the true garden in the atom of light, the atomic light. So there's one letter. They just drop off a letter. As I say, they abbreviate words. And so it's the same with Aaron. I realized that Aaron, being the beginning of the priesthood with two A's in front of his name, was abbreviated, just like Haran, Aaron. Haran was Karan. Then what's Aaron? You know, because Aaron is the suffix of Haran and Quran, and so I realized that it was Zaram. That it's the like in our scriptures they call it the corrupt word is Eden, which is corruption for the atom for the sun. But in the Septuagint, it's not Eden; it's Edem, Edem. So you can see that even in one book you have an M, and another one you have an N. You know, so which one is it? You see, and this is how the trickery is being played on us. So I realized that Aaron was an M at the end, and which is interesting because then backwards you get Mo for the Moe Shaul Moses, but it's really the Zaram. Aaron was the Zaram with two A's, E-Z-A-A-R-A-M, Zaram. And so when you look up the meaning of the word Aaron, it says teacher or lofty. And well, what's more lofty than the sun? It's high up there. And so the light represents the primary aspect of a teacher who brings you light. So you can see by the very meaning in the word Aaron, it reflects upon the sun. And so it is actually the Zaram, you know, and just like they came out of Meitzar, not Egypt, that's a phony word. They came out of Meitzar, the Zar, the place of a star. So who more appropriately would come out, and how did they come out if not like a Zaram? The ram, right? The powerful creature of the mountains, stands on the sheer cliff and doesn't fall down. The Zaram. So, and he spoke for Moed Shaul, he spoke for Moses, because Moses had a speech impediment, and so he was the voice, meaning he represents then the spirit, okay? So I just want to share a little, you know, tidbit like that to show you how challenging our work is in order to be able to unravel the mystery of what the priesthood has done to us all.
Yeah, wow.
So I got two examples.
Yeah, you're on a roll though. Like you're catching them out with everything, Desert. It's just, yeah, it's amazing. Like I can't get over it. It's amazing. Like everything you find, it makes perfect sense. And it's so obvious, but not until you point it out. So thank you for your work. I just had to say that.
It's an egg roll, but I love Chinese food, you know. So I read symbols. So when you know the meaning of a symbol, then they can no longer hide from you. You see. So this is why studying the alphabet at its core, the meaning of symbols, getting a book on symbolism or a book on the symbol, you know, anything. It does.
Yeah.
You know, even though the author may be wrong on a few points, the fact that you're studying it makes you consciously aware of it.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
You want to consciously aware of the symbols that have power. In fact, a book I could recommend, one of the first books on the words was, you know, outside of the scriptures or the concordances was, what was that book called? I don't know now, but it was something like the power in words. Words of power. It may have been words of power. And I remember even in there they confirmed that Nazareth was never a town, you know, just like it's also confirmed in the Babylonian Talmud and other sources will confirm that Nazareth, it's about the word again, the Nal Zareh. The Nal Zareh, there's the word Zar again, and it was the pure Aryan line that came down through Enoch, through Adam, through Nova, through Oshem, also called Shem, Melchizedek, you know, to read anything that would stimulate the mind into these symbols, because it's about symbol. And so here, I'm going to go to Genesis next, which is correctly Ganesha, and which is the original word for garden in that term Genesis. But of course, we go back into the Hebrew Aramaic, and it's Bereshit, but Bereshit is a corruption as well. And I'll be defining these words as I do the transliteration, starting in the days ahead now. I'm geared up for it. But I was reading in chapter 13 of the Gospel of John, And in the part where he's going to be washing the feet, just close my blinds a little bit. Hang on a minute. In the part where he's washing the feet of Yeshua, or Yeshua's washing the feet of Peter, and Peter says, "No, you're going to do that. You're not going to wash my feet." He says, "If I don't, then you don't have any part of me." Then he elaborates. Yeshua said to him, "He who has bathed does not need to wash his whole body, but only to wash his feet. For all of him is clean. Also, all of you are clean, but not all of you." I'm referring to Judas, the Ishapare, the traitor. So what I realized was when I looked at that, it immediately came to me what it was really saying. And I know that most people won't get the picture because, as much as I've studied, it was obscured. Not that I, in a sense, didn't get it, but I didn't. Now that I'm doing the transliteration, I realize the problem that has to be corrected for people to be able to clearly get the picture of what it's saying, and when we know it came from a transliteration, perhaps of a second transliteration, because all the Aramaic were ultimately adulterated by the Roman Empire, and that's why the evidence is the fact that they're using Estrangulo-Demotic script and not the original Aramaic alphabet letters that we use in our capitals, which were just a slightly different form, but the same letters, identical. And so this is the way it would actually read in the transliteration correctly. Yeshua said unto him, "He who has been buried in the waters of purification does not need to wash his whole body, but only to wash his feet as to where he may go. For then all of him will remain clean." You see? So it's about so let me do one more time, because I'm looking at my marginal notes and I draw in between the lines, and it's a little convoluted. So again, and I talk. So let me just give the old version. Jesus said to him, "He who has bathed does not need to wash his whole body, but only to wash his feet. For all of him is clean. Also all of you are clean, but not all of you." But I'll now read it again. Yeshua said to him, "He who has been buried in the waters of purification does not need to wash his entire body, but only to wash his feet as to where he may go. For then all of him will remain clean." You see? So it's because, in other words, the whole point is that once we've gone through the waters of purification, we need to check where it is now that we're going to go if we're separate people. We're not going to be going clubbing, to partying, and dancing at the discotheque. We have been transformed in our being. We're of a higher order.
Yeah, we're past
so we know
all that.
We're not gonna,
we're past all that.
Right.
Yeah, been there, done that.
Right. Yeah. So because we've been washed. So when it says that you only need to wash your feet, well, even in the word wash, you can hear the word watch. Watch your feet, right? Watch where you are going, because we know that there are places that we no longer want to go because it will not bring us life, but will instead bring us death and another trap and deception. So that's the true nature of that scripture, and so I just wanted to share that today, with everybody. We have to clear the dust off of these transliterations or translations. I like that because that means magic. Translate, presto magico. Translate. Transliteration means the literal sense of something that you're trying to convey. Transliteration, but they call them translations. So here we are in the Genesis, and I had a I don't know the right word, if it's epiphany or something else, but the fact that I was reading in Genesis, in the Septuagint, I decided I now have to read the Septuagint, which is the first translation ever to come out, as far as we know, from that Hebrew version that captured all the Aramaic, because they got rid of all the Aramaic and put it into Hebrew. So then in about 300 BC, in Alexandria, Egypt, Ptolemy the second, I think, it was, there was like 3 lines of Ptolemy, but they were the ones who took over Meitzar after Alexander the Great died. Then the Ptolemy dynasty took over Meitzar, falsely called Egypt, and Alexandria. They built the great Alexandrian library. Well, they wanted to get a copy of the quote unquote Hebrew scriptures, and so they commissioned 70 priests from, actually 72 is the correct number. What was it? 6 out of each tribe, so there would have been 72. And so they brought them to Alexandria, and they were entertained by the king over there. And there's quite a story that recounts this epic event in the lost books of the Bible and the forgotten books of Eden. If anybody wants to read it, I can't off the top of my head remember the letters of Aristes. I don't remember now what it was called, but it's great read, a lot of wisdom in there. And so they then brought us forth the Koine Greek translation of the scriptures in the Old Covenant. So I'm now attempting to read through it because I know that it conveys a lot of the secrets and a lot of the truth that they hid out of the Masoretic text, which is very messy. But now I come to find out as I start reading into the scripture, it's more of it's opening up to me. And so in the, and most people don't know that the first chapter comes from the northern kingdom, Genesis chapter 1. Then Genesis chapter 2 comes from the southern kingdom, and that's called the Yahwistic text. And so that's why our scriptures are so challenging to read in the first 2, 3, or 4 chapters of Genesis, aka Better Shith, falsely numbered that way. But that's why it's so confusing, because it's like you hear one chapter is one version of creation, then all of a sudden, boom, it moves into another chapter. It's almost like it's retelling it over again, but in a different way.
Yeah.
But what's worse than that? What's worse than that? Now I can prove in the second chapter, as an example, they then take part of the story and they bump it up several verses, so that you go into one phase, and then you're already at another phase. Then they bump back up to the other phase, and then come back down to the other phase, so you can never see the true order of the creation as to how it unfolded. Do you follow?
Yeah, I'm following. It's all higgledy-piggledy.
So what?
Yeah.
So what? Did you say Hindi?
Higgledy. No, all mixed up. All higgledy-piggledy.
Oh, well, I like that term Hindi. I think you want to keep that one. It's very Hindi. Because the Brahmins, the word, in other words, even the word, when I said the word Genesis, when I back engineered it based on the Indo-Germanic and the original thought, knowing now, the essential primary parent roots of our Indo-Germanic tongue that we speak every day, I was immediately able to back engineer Genesis into Ganesha. And when I shared that with Ya Love, she, knowing that tradition as well as the German as well, she confirmed for me Ganesha was part of the Hindu tradition. So there's the evidence that the Hindu influence is in our scriptures. Remember, I said that
I
they took
remember
out
you
the sacred
talking.
name Yahweh,
Yeah.
and they put Adonai, and Adonai backwards is India. It's an anagram for India.
I remember the conversation.
Ganesha,
Yeah.
So because they're using the words doesn't make it a bad word. Ganesha means the garden of the royal eye. You see, that's what it means. Gan is garden. That's also in Hebrew. Gan, and then G-A-N, and 2 N's correctly. And G is the symbol of the sun. A-N-N means harvest. So literally, Gan by itself means the harvest of the sun. Well, isn't that what a garden is? It's a plant life growing by virtue of the sun, right? So it is the harvest of the sun. But then the Aisha means the royal eye. So it's the garden of the sun, or the harvest of the sun in the royal eye. So it all reflects back on the light, on the sun. But so Ganesha is the right term based on the word Genesis, which is the corruption. But of course, the first word of the scriptures was the original word for the Old Covenant, which is not Better Shith, but Avresha, and maybe Avresha. It might be the correct terminology. So we will, know more. Once you know the root forms, the key is once you know the primitive Germanic root forms and you study these words long enough, for me it's been a lifetime,
Yeah.
then finally, just being a scientist working with chemicals and minerals and things of that nature, eventually you know this stuff.
Yeah.
It becomes a part of you.
Yeah.
But more than that, the spirit of Yeshua is absolutely behind this, because I never could have figured this stuff out. It is by divine order of revelation through a process of time and miraculous events and timing.
Yeah.
And connections
You're being shown the right things at the right time. Yeah.
Yeah. Supernatural. A supernatural timing and event that I can't deny that the Father of Light has shined for me. And it's not for me, though. Not for me. It is for everyone who deserves it and who wants to know this, And so, but he has to give it to somebody, and that's what the Star Navigator, meant. That he gives somebody the key insight into knowing how to navigate in this cosmic dream in order to get back home. So that's all it's about. So he made me a shofar. A shofar, it means scribe. And the scribes get a bad rap, of course, but that's their fault and not the fact that scribes are bad by nature. It is the fact that they were part of a corrupt tradition. But the shofar, and it means, you can hear the word in shofar, soul fire, meaning the fire of the sun from far away, the shofar, which also then shul means knowledge from afar. So like when they blew the ram's horn for the new moon, that way people far away could hear it. And it's all the knowledge from afar, the shofar. Okay, the sun, new moon. And so these are all the elements of the words. And as you can hear the word far. So it's still with us today, a word that's thousands of years old, and it's still there, and it still works today. Same with the word go. Go, meaning, right, you go somewhere. So that's one of the most primitive as well that is still with us today. It hasn't changed at all. Certain words just can't be done away with. They're foundational within the psyche and in our historical evolution of time. So there's a lot to this science. So I wanted to show an example of the trickery that was played. Let me just get a little more light because the Septuagint's in fine print. So I'll turn on this light here and see if that works. Okay, so everybody has to get out their book, of course, if they want to follow, and they're going to go to Genesis chapter 2, and then I realized when I saw the corruption, and it is absolute. You see, when we come into the world, we think that my priesthood wouldn't lie to me, and Brother Bob, Gandhi Randi Handi Shandi, wouldn't dare play tricks on me, would he? No, of course he's not a psychopath either, and not drinking blood at night on Saturday evening before he gives the Sunday Mass with the white host in his pretty white dress. No, the truth is that they would lie to you. They are drinking blood, and it is a power, it is the greatest power trip of mankind is the priesthood. It's always been that way. From the beginning of the fallen watchers of the Aryan race, priesthood has been running the show. And so nothing is true, nothing is correct, nothing is complete, and it's all misleading. And we have to get on our knees and ask the Father of Light to show us, to shine His light on us, to open the door. And I will give this information out to people, and they still will not get it, and they still will not transcend this world. So it will be a miracle for anybody to take this information that I share and to make the most of it for their life and for their families, because it is so deep, it is so vast. But just like in Revelation, it says, now if anybody changes the word in this book, then all the curses of this book will be upon them. When I looked at Revelations, it was 20 years ago. I remember when I was working on a possible transliteration of it because I saw the problems in it. And as I just attempted it based on the little knowledge, the knowledge I had 20 years ago, I was astounded to realize that, geez, you know what? They actually did really alter it. They actually did covertly create a pagan version of a pure Aramaic document by John, by Yagamun, and so literally when it said the curse will be on you if you change these words. Well, it was already done, 2,000 years ago practically, at least we can say 1,700 years ago approximate, when Constantine and the Roman Empire took over. That's when they had to rewrite all the scriptures and make sure they took out certain words that they wouldn't dare want us to know, especially about the sun of light, and how it shines for us, and how everything came out of the light, out of the sun, all of our solar system, all the planets and the moons, except for the gaseous orbs, and so the switch out occurred, and so the only thing we have left that we can do, since once one becomes a scholar, and it becomes clearly evident that they have literally decimated our spiritual tradition, our root forms of words. Even when I study the Indo-Germanic dictionary, I see how they are lying through academia. In other words, academia says, well, no, you're not going to use that letter. You're going to use this letter. Not a V, but a W. Not a V, but a B. Not a PH, but an F. Not an A, but an I. You see, by controlling certain key letters, even when they publish these Indo-Germanic dictionaries, they are still controlling the narrative. So not even in the Indo-Germanic dictionaries do we find the absolute, original, pure form. You with me?
I'm following. I was looking at a PDF that I downloaded a few weeks ago. I was browsing through my downloads just to see what I had, and I've got one in there, and I found it very hard to understand. So I agree. Yeah.
So because the basic pure original forms are actually pure. There's a big difference between the letter V and the letter W.
Yeah.
You can see it's not even W, it's a double V. They got us to lie to ourselves every time we mention it.
Yeah,
the
car,
W,
the bug.
It's a double V.
The car.
Right.
You make me think
And
the VW bug.
And the U.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the U represents two O's. It's code for two O's. Sometimes it's a V, though.
Yeah.
You see? And so it's not one switch out. There's actually several switch outs going on, so you could almost never follow the pattern. It is so deep.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to give that example because I'm trying to give people a foundation that they can stand on when I'm speaking, from an authority position on this, because I have dedicated my life to wanting to know for myself.
Yeah.
For myself, because I saw how in trouble I was in this world with being so far away from the great one that breathes, that created us, and to want to know, how to unravel the mystery of scriptures that apparently were really in trouble, because I saw that 40 years ago reading the King James. That's obviously when it started, and then knowing that this guy Jesus, was a surplanter, and because I saw it for myself. At one time, I remember reading the Old Covenant and then saying, wait a minute, I think this guy Joshua, who came right after Moses, is an archetype of Jesus, and I'm going back and I'm saying, so I saw that on my own. Yeshua gave me the light to see that, and then from there, he goes, well, there's no J, there's a Y, and so the I in Isus, which was before they ever had a J is a latecomer, then it was Isus, and there's the healing Zeus, it's all an open secret. So I followed the trail back. As I continued to learn about these key elements within diction, then it kept expanding. Went from Joshua to Yahshua, then from Yeshua to Yeshulunva, and Yeshulunva is basically the most primitive and complete. And it means literally the knowledge of the serpent on the surface. Yeshulunva, the knowledge of the serpent that came down. I forgot you.
Can I practice saying that? Because I haven't heard you say it like that before. Can you?
Yeshulunva. And in Deutsch, in German, Schulen is school. You see, there's your learning.
Yahshulenva. Yahshulenva.
Yeah, but I typically say Yeshua because I don't want to lose everyone. So I find the middle ground. Okay?
Yeah.
That's how I
Yeah.
do it. Yeah.
But
Because
when
it's so deep, I don't want to lose everyone, so I have to find middle ground on a lot of the, the things. Like within the transliteration I'll be doing,
yeah.
it'll be a middle ground transliteration, but with a dictionary that supports it, so that if they want to go deeper, then the definitions will take them.
Yeah. I'm just thinking,
right?
because I'm just thinking, like, I don't know. I still feel like I'm a novice. Yeah, just sitting alone creating light. I just want to say the right word, so I want to say
here it is. Novice, it's a good word. You know why? Because it's no vice.
Sorry?
You got to get rid of all the vices. Novice is no vice. You don't want any vice, do you?
That's cool. That's cool, Desert. You've got to come back for everything. I love it. I love it. So yeah, can you say it again, please?
Y'all meaning that which goes round.
Yeah.
Y'all like sun and moon going round. Y'all for yellow. Y'all shulin va. V-A-T for the serpent. Va. Like Vatican, the serpent. Va.
Okay.
Shulin va.
Ya shulin va. It sounds funny with my Aussie accent, but I'm going to be saying
the L's were the late number. We knew it was ya, just like y'all love has ya. But and most people get that, but they don't get the secret vowels. The secret vowels are the two L's. They represent the two columns. They represent the obelisk, the symbols of creation. And the two L's are representative of sun and moon. Those are the two columns in Freemasonry, Jacob and Boaz. That represented the twin towers. The two L's are the representative of sun and moon, symbols of creation, holding up a temple. And so Yal, we see it in the word dial. There's your evidence. Dial, that which goes round. The Yal, Shulin, Vav, the knowledge that goes round. The serpent knowledge that goes round. Serpent knowledge, the primary serpent is the Golpa, the supporting brother, or the supporting light being the sun. The Cobra, the big serpent. Okay, everything is serpent. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just remembering now. I remember seeing that in your dictionary. And I remember writing it. I'm pretty sure I wrote it in an email to you. And I'm here asking you how do you say it? How do you spell it? And it was months ago. I can remember now. So yeah.
Wonderful. Okay. So I got a long way to go yet. I'm wearing down already. So let me try to knock this out so we can get into the next phase here. So, okay, and I'm going to start in Genesis chapter 2, verse 8, and then I'll lead into it. Do I need to go there? No, I'll bump up a little further. I don't want to read too much. Verse 12, and the gold in that land. Okay, I'll start at verse 8 because I want to qualify what we're reading here. And Yahweh planted a garden in the east, in the atom. So not Eden, but the atom. And so there's talking about the sun. The sun is in the east. That's why it says east. The letter E means that which is far away. The sun is far away. And placed there a man. So this man, of course, is Adam. He placed there the man who he had formed. He placed him in Eden. He took him out of the lower garden where he made him from the fiery magma down here, placed him up into the throne of the sun. And Yahweh made to spring up also out of the earth every tree that is beautiful to the eye and good for food, and the trees of life and so forth in the garden. And then I'm going to jump down. I just want to qualify how that begins. And in verse 12, and the name of the second river is Gihon, and which encircles the entire land of Ethiopia. And then finally it gets down to verse 15. And the Lord God took man whom he had formed and placed him in the garden of delight to cultivate it and and he gave him charge to Adam, saying, of every tree which is in the garden you may eat freely, but of the tree of knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat. What that means is, as you know, we'll know a tree by its fruit, meaning what it does, the things that it does. It's saying you can do anything you want, but there's one thing you cannot do, and that's to participate at the center of the garden. The center was of his own biology. his own creative capability to be a creator like Elohim. And so, but whenever you do this thing, then you will surely die. And verse 18, and the Lord, Yahweh, who is the great Elohim, that's Lord God, said, it is not good that man should be alone. Let us make man, put him a help suitable for him. And then 19, and the great Elohim formed yet farther out of the earth all the wild beasts of the field, all the birds of the sky, and he brought them to Adam to see what he would call them. Well, you see, he did that prior to his coming down and having his counterpart, Eve, made before him. You see, because it says up here in verse 15, and Yahweh, who is great Elohim, took the man whom he had formed and placed him in the garden of delight. Here in the Septuagint, it says delight. It's not the Garden of Eden, because he was in Eden, and he placed him down into the garden. And the Garden of Delight means the Garden of Pleasure. That's where we are. We're in the Garden of superficial activity that is for our sensual entertainment. And so the Garden of Sensations. And so literally this part was taken out of order and placed in here. And I'm since I'm limited on time and also on the other stuff, I just want to show where this switch out has occurred, and I now have basically the idea of the order that it really needs to go in. And so because we know priesthoods have manipulated all of this, they never told us that they call it the Book of Moses. They're trying to say that Moses wrote the 5 books. And you know, the script, it says in 1 John that the truth is not a part of any lie. 1 John 2:27. The truth is not a part of any lie. And how come they're saying that these are the books of Moses when one of them came out of the northern kingdom of Israel before it was annihilated by Yahweh? The second chapter comes out of the Yahwistic text, falsely called the J text. And you see, so you can't have a foundation of truth based upon lies, only upon truth. And so I know that the Father has now, given me enough knowledge and ability and gave me the vision to see it, so that when I do the transliteration of Ganesha, Genesis, then it will be in the proper order, and I will point out the Yahwistic text when it comes up, and then also the Northern Tribe text when it comes up, but it will be in a logic that when you read it from beginning to end, it'll just be full of woes, okay, wows, like you like the vobs, okay. It'll be like that because you will never have read it before. It'll make so much sense to you that you literally, will not want to read the other version anymore because it's all mixed up.
I already don't want to read any other versions.
Not to mention the words.
Yeah.
The words have been destroyed.
Yeah.
So we got to get back to original words. So that's what we're doing without elaborating any more on that. And you can, you just give me a 2-minute break, and then we'll be back. Give me some type of 2-minute break. You want to sing a dance, or what do you got?
Well, I've got the flute. I've got the flute, or I've got, or I can put my music on, which is shorter. Depends how long a break you would like.
Okay, well, just give me 3 minutes. How about that? 3 minutes.
Okay, that gives me enough time to race to the door and let the cats back in as well. They're banging on the window. Yeah. Okay, so we will be back in a couple of minutes, guys. Okay, welcome back to the Forbidden History Chronicles. You're here with Ninja Cat 111 and Dezert-Owl from the Forbidden History series. I'd like to welcome Nemesis Agenda. Thanks for stopping in, and I appreciate that. Thank you. I respect your opinion as well. Yeah, Desert Nem's come for a visit. Just stopped in to say hi. So anyway, we have more wow moments to get through. So, Desert, are you ready to continue?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to say to Lynn and everybody out there, okay, and hope everybody's doing well out there. And give out my Skype real quick, okay, if anybody wants to join in on the call. Okay, just do that and I'll be right back.
I haven't got your Skype. I haven't got your Skype because I don't do Skype. Oh yes, I do. It's the Free America Radio. Okay. Yeah. I'm not sure how Skype works.
It's Free America Radio, all one word.
Is that it? Is that
all one word?
And I don't.
Free America Radio.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how to do it though, so I can't tell anybody how, like, instruct anybody on it.
Well, they would do a search. They would do a search for the name, and then it'll still say probably it's in Kingsland, Georgia.
Okay.
But then at that point they can ask to be accepted as a, I don't know, with contact, and it's to be accepted, and it's a way that they could ask a question on the broadcast.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah. Oh, Lynn's put it in the chat. Thank you, Lynn. Much appreciated. I'll let you do what you have to do. I'll give out your phone number and stuff. So I don't know. I'll ramble on. I'll talk about coffee and honey. I don't know.
No, I'm good. I just we're grassroots here all the way, and as you know, so that's why we are the realpublicradio.net. That's my
Thank you, love.
Former radio network, now Radio Museum, therealpublicradio.net, therealpublicradio.net. So feel free to check that out. And now I wanted to, when we talk about, and I'm now in the book, for those of you who have a copy, on the Dictionary of Scripture, All Scriptures and Myths, and I'm on the page 71, the ascetic, self-restrained man. That's a part I'm going to get into here. There's two definitions here that are really good and are food for thought for our spiritual journey, because we come into this world and we say, this is me, here I am, center stage, look out, and so, but the irony is, that our body is the illusion. You know, that we are not the body. But the only thing we know how to identify with is with the body. You see, that's the great mystery of this existence. We're here, you know, anything that has a beginning has an end.
Yep.
And so our body had a beginning and the body has an end. But our spirit is eternal. And so we're going to go somewhere, and if we don't put on the clothing of the light, then we're going to be, as the metaphor says, naked. And so we have to be clothed in the light. And of course, the Illuminatis and the Freemasons all pretend the light. They all pretend that they're, you know, illuminated, but their knowledge by itself is not illumination. Illumination, in reality, is wisdom coupled with knowledge, and also compassion for all other creatures. That's the ultimate illumination, is compassion for all other creation. And so they have no illumination. Specialized knowledge, anybody can have that, you know?
Yeah, they have knowledge but no heart. That's the difference. Yeah.
Okay, so ascetic man, and I may not be able to get to the special about Adam today that I was going to do, but we'll pick it up on Tuesday if we don't get there, because I can feel my voice. So I did more on the intro than I realized I was going to do.
Okay. Sorry, but can you see the chat at the moment?
I can open up.
Yeah. Oh, Nem wants to ask a question, but he hasn't asked it yet. Yes, you can, Nemesis. Yeah, he wants to ask a question, and I didn't want to interrupt while you were in the middle of something. Sure. Yeah. So I'm just waiting for the question now. There's a delay. So yeah, I'm just curious because we've had a lot of debates, a lot of interesting debates in our quest for truth. So I'm just... He has an interesting description if you go to his about page, Ninja. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm just waiting, just trying to fill in the what do they call it? I don't want to call it what they call it actually. What, dead air? Dead air, is that what they say on air? Fill in the dead air? Right. Well, I'm going to get on. We can save that for when I get done, because I'm not going to stand here and wait for a question. Okay. Well, I've got the question. I've got the question now. Okay. So when they come up, that's yeah. So the ascetic, self-restrained man, a symbol of an individuality who, after liberation from all below the higher mind, departs from his house, that is, rises above the casual body and continues his progress upward through the Buddhic plane. Having performed the Ishti, which is the Eshatsre, it means the eye that's focusing on everything, sacred to Yahweh of all creatures in creation, where he gives all of his property as a sacrificial rite, having reposited the sacred fires in himself. So one of the keys within a transcendence is, as it says here, where he gives all of his property as a sacrificial fee, having reposited the sacred fires in himself. A Brahmin may depart from his house as an ascetic after giving a promise of safety to all created beings, making over the merits his own good actions to his friends and the guilt of his blind actions to his enemies. He attains the eternal Brahman by the practice of meditation. And of course that includes focused reading. Having renounced all lower all that he has attained and now possessed of, and putting his trust in the supreme sacrificial law, the liberated ego turns his attention to the Atma Buddhic energies within.
and aspires beyond the casual self, firm in his resolve not to use his powers in frustration of the divine scheme, to higher and lower plane activities, in schemes of manifestations which in him are to go forth. He bequeaths his acquirements, then freed from all relativity, he passes into the supreme. And then the second part is the asceticism or austerity. A symbol of the voluntary abandonment of outgoing activities in preparation for a new form or course of manifestation. It is an inbreathing of the ego or self prior to an outbreathing of renewed life. As early as the creation myths, we saw how the creator of the universe prepared himself for his work by the practice of asceticism, in which word the ancient idea of that heat which serves to promote the incubation of the egg of the universe blends with the ideas of the exertion, fatigue, self-renunciation, by means of which the creator is transmuted entirely or in part into the universe which he proposes to create. He's a part of all of it, Yeshua said. According to this conception, everything that is great in the universe is dependent on the fire of chaos of the bull. The perfection of the manifest self is absolutely necessary end of the soul process. The perfection of the manifest self is the absolutely necessary end of the soul process, and is the condition that must be attained ere a life cycle can close in the complete indrawal of the self. The toil and fervor of the self to perfect its manifested life and its renunciation of all outgoing energy become the preparation for the next life cycle. The actual then disappears into the potential, which then is, as it were, a germ or egg out of which a new universe, outer and inner, proceeds into actuality. Everything great is dependent on asceticism, because perfection attained implies the subjugation and cessation of every activity of the lower nature in its widest sense. The souls on their entrance back into the sun, the soul, are apostrophes, which, invincible by the fire and heat of chaos, have won their way by the tapas to the light, that have accomplished the sweet baptism of fire. For these can now enter in. The spiritual egos or individual souls on the higher mental plane, having become perfected through their efforts in a stage of their progress upward to the truth, withdraw entirely from the lower life and enter into the consciousness of the Buddhic plane. So I know that's without reading it again, you know, it's a lot of deep thought there. But bottom line is the separation, you know, from this world is the key in order to finding the reality of that invisible world, because the creation is just no different than a movie projection, and it is going from a beginning to an end, and in the process, the whole intention or purpose of our creation is to wake up to the higher truth, and then to as it says, to be born a second time, to be the second born, because the firstborn is in the fall and in the darkness, and then when we wake up to the higher creation, which is the is just a reflection of the higher order of things. The voice is here speaking, but we have to put on that light in order to transcend. And by doing, the only way to put on that light is to put off the darkness that is here. So it's a life's work, and it says that most will not be able to go, you know, because the world has captured them. The things that entertain them or they enjoy, they will not be able to separate from, and therefore so that's very tragic, because we are eternal beings, but we're in a matrix of an illusion. So that's why reading these symbols is so important, because the voice of the architect, the great architect of creation, is here, and he's communicating. He's actually shouting, but nobody can hear his voice. And then so that's the basic summation of that, Ninja. And so I'm here. Is there a question that popped up yet?
Yeah. We kind of put in our 2 cents worth. I'll read it to you anyway. From Nemesis.
Well, if it's not worth the time, then that's fine. Okay, you put in your
Okay.
Shall I continue here?
It's just good that Nem's here.
What?
That's good. It's just good that Nem's here. That's good. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll continue on what I was going to talk about.
Okay, I'll just read this one. Nem says,
okay.
"Forgive me if I cause offence, but are they not the same powers that be for its time as what we suffer now with such Masons, Illuminati, New World Order, the powers that be?" And yeah, I put in there the same ones. So, and
okay, I just pulled down.
Yeah, and
okay,
there's
well,
there's just a conversation.
You can challenge anything you want. I'm not here to. If he wants to challenge it, he can do his own program. You know, so I'm not here to challenge anyone to follow what I follow. You know, if they don't follow, that's fine.
Yeah.
He can do his own presentation. I have a ways to go here. I saw his about page. That says enough for me. Okay. Go read his about page, and you'll get the picture. So what that's worth. Okay. So we're in talking about the serpent of Genesis, and so what I'm going to show now is the what has been hidden from us in this mystery of who this Adam actually is, because we get the picture that he's only some naked, like a child. You know, that's what we get this picture of. But the truth is, when it said that the serpent was more subtle, the question is, who's the serpent? And when you go look, well, gee, they lied to us about that, because it says Naga, and Naga is just an abbreviation of Navigator, and which means is the word for navigator, the original word for navigator, which they corrupted into the word prophet. But so literally, he was the Navigator. He was the one who was told to name everything on the planet as it evolved over time. He was the last one to come after it all was brought here and named by him. And this is where this great knowledge came from. Okay, this knowledge of that allowed people to build pyramid civilizations that they can't even reproduce today. So when it says that this Navigator was more subtle, then you look it up in the Hebrew and you find, well, it's not the word subtle. Actually, it's the word Avram. They took out the V, of course, because they abbreviate all the words, and you have to know the root components and how the game is played. And you find out he is the Avram. Well, actually, it's the same name that Abram is the V is corruption. Again, the code. It's a V. It's Avram. So Adam is being called by title what Abraham was by his first primary title, the Avram, meaning AV, meaning as they corrupted it to Ab in the legal diction. Ab, it means that which is first, like ab initio means from the beginning. And but the correct is not AV, but AV. Well, what is from the beginning? It is the sun. It is the star. It is the light. And so when he's being called the Avram, he's being called the Star Ram. The Star Ram. How could you be more powerful than a star, Ninja? Can you tell me?
No, I can't.
Is there anything more powerful than a star?
No.
Okay, not in our universe, right? Other than the Spirit himself.
Yeah, not to our knowledge. Yeah.
Right. So a star is everything, and it's a symbol of royalty. And so we correct the corruption of the priesthood, and we talk about the fact that this navigator, which they corrupted into the word prophet, so get the idea of this character type that comes down with the message. He came down with a message for mankind that he could then point the way back home as a star navigator. But instead, he decided he liked this lower matrix. He liked the tantalizing appearance of things.
Yeah.
He had been as a spirit in the Eden, which is correctly the atom, the star atom, for like 3.5 billion years while Yeshua made everything. He was commissioned to name everything. I just read it earlier at the beginning of the broadcast. And so this is, as you know, what I've been sharing and trying to point out, doing it without any backup, without anybody ever having talked about this stuff before. And then I find out that actually somebody else did, and it was Bullinger. And but he did it very carefully because he didn't want to discredit all of his works, because he was going obviously against convention. And it was but if you've seen all the works of Bullinger, it's beyond the imagination that anybody could produce as much as he did in a lifetime, let alone 2 lifetimes. But his father was also spiritual as well, so obviously he got the right start that most of us didn't get, and so he was a genius and able to just produce volumes of books, and each of these books is exhaustive in a way that I'm wondering how I miss Bullinger. I had a couple of his books, but I missed several very important ones that he did, and now have been looking at them. So I'm going to read in his words about the star round, and to see how he gently presents it without actually naming him. But I'll use the correct terminology, to fill in the blank, and then and we'll see where this goes. Okay, so this will be the first time sharing this here, and I'm trying to see where I can put my phone and my voice comes through. So let me do it this way. Let me get one more light going because it's really fine print. Can't get over it. I need a magnifying glass to read all this luminous stuff. Okay, so in Genesis chapter 3, we have neither allegory. Let me take one sip here. My throat. Alrighty. Was that Martha on there? I saw.
Yeah, Martha's here.
Hey, good to see you, Martha Skywatcher, up there in Ontario. Hope you're doing okay, and hope to be back on the broadcast real soon myself. Okay, in Genesis 3, we have neither allegory, myth, and Genesis 3, of course, is about Adam and how he begins everything here. And there's so much, it's not what the story is saying; it's what the story is not saying.
Yeah.
What has been taken out, but we don't have. That's really what we want to hear. But we have to hear correctly what, based on words, is being presented to us and then being destroyed in the narrative. So that we really don't get the picture. And of course, when they then cut it up and splice it and move it around on the table, then really you're just, you're going to have pieces of the puzzle, but the whole thing is supposed to come together to create a picture. That was the purpose of the writing.
Yeah,
And
so you got to rearrange it all and read between the lines.
All right.
Yeah.
So in Genesis 3, we have neither allegory, myth, legend, nor fable, but literal historical facts as set forth and emphasized by the use of certain figures of speech. Okay, I'm going to give myself a little more light here. All right, that helped. All of the confusion of thought and conflicting exegesis have arisen from taking literally what is expressed by figures, correctly, symbols. Let me read that again. All the confusion of thought and conflicting exegesis have arisen from taking literally what is expressed by symbols, or from taking figuratively what is literal, and how to know the difference. A symbol or a figure of speech is never used except for the purpose of calling attention to, emphasizing, and intensifying the reality of the literal sense and the truth of the historical facts, so that while the words employed may not be so strictly true to the letter, they are all the more true to the truth conveyed by them and to the historical events connected with them. But for the figurative language of verses 14 and 15 in chapter 3, no one would have thought of referring the third chapter of Genesis to a snake, no more than he does when reading the third chapter from the end of Revelation, chapter 20, verse 2. Okay, so he just destroyed the snake aspect, but they're, they are telling us something, right, with that word. I told you they switched out from naga, which was an abbreviated word for navigator, which is the word navigator, the star messenger, to a snake. And so they reduced it from the mind, and so I'm going to tell you what they did. They reduced it from the mind, which is where the navigator was, and they reduced it to the flesh. As we say, when you put on your shirt and you put on your pants, you're putting on the shirt pants, right? The serpent.
Yeah.
And so that's how the priesthood did it. They went from one aspect of our being, which was of the highest mental capacity, and they reduced him down to the flesh as a snake. And so that's what happened. So I'm going to continue now. No more than, okay, so I have to start this again. So, for the figurative language of verses 14 and 15, no one would have thought of referring to the third chapter of Genesis to a snake. See, he said no one would have thought of doing that, because he knows. He knows. No more than he does when reading the third chapter at the end of Revelation, chapter 20, verse 2. Indeed, the explanation added there that the old serpent is the devil and Satan. You see, and so he's dispelling that. It would immediately lead one to connect with the word old, with the earlier former mention of the serpent in Genesis 3. And the fact that it was and then what they did ultimately, is they corrupted the word serpent, and they turned it into Satan. So they created a secondary false image from a false image. You see, even though the image does create, the serpent does tell us a story about our dilemma within this world, that the flesh is the serpent. Genesis 3. Okay, so let me back up here because I was jumping in. Oh geez, where did I go? Okay, I got to really back indeed, the explanation added there that the old serpent is the devil and Satan would immediately lead one to conclude the word old with the earlier and former mention of the serpent in Genesis 3, and the fact that it was another entity itself who tempted the second man, and it was his ego, the last Adam, would force the conclusion that no other than the personal Satan would have been tempter of the first man, Adam. But it was the ego, you see. And that is where Fenton, or not Fenton, but Bullinger, well, let me just continue and you'll see where we're going with this, okay?
Yeah.
Because the fallen one, as you remember on the last program, anybody can go there and listen, I read out of Ezekiel how it described Adam and how he fell and that he was the bright star, right? You remember?
Yeah.
And he said that we told Eve we could be like Elohim.
Yep. Yep.
If we do this thing, we're not going to die, right?
Yep.
And so the quote was right there in Ezekiel, and so this is where we're picking up from at that point. So the last program is key to following where we are right here. So continuing, the Hebrew word rendered serpent in Genesis 3:1 is nakash. And of course, he's only given it to us as the abbreviated form because he doesn't perhaps know the trickery of the like. Now we know that outside the Vatican they have a place called the College of Abbreviators, where they abbreviate the words. They tell us right in our face, ha ha ha, what they're doing to us, and nobody can figure it out. But I'm so grateful that they named the school what they did because it gives us the clue further, you know, to follow that trail. And so from the root nagash to shine. So there we go. So nagash means to shine. And so what shines other than a star? And who was called the Avram, meaning he was more subtle. The serpent was more subtle. But it wasn't the circle, it was the navigator. It was the navigator who was more. He was the Avram. The navigator was the Avram. He shined like the light. He was bright. He was illuminated. And which means therefore he's the shining one. But they want to associate it, of course, today with some fictitious creature that flies through the air at night. But we're talking about physical creation. This was the beginning of the Aryan race. This was the one who had the knowledge of the entire universe, how it was formed, because he was up there with Yeshua. The whole time he was creating on earth, he named everything on earth.
Yeah.
You tell me he doesn't know what's going on when he named everything on earth. And you can clearly see it as we read it right in the second chapter right there. Okay, so continuing, hence in the Chaldean it means brass or copper because it is shining. So that's how the word evolved. Hence also the word nefushatan, a piece of brass in 2 Kings 18:4. In the same way, seraph in Isaiah 6:6 means burning one, and because of the serpents mentioned in Numbers 21 were burning in the poison of their bites, they were called Sepharim and Sephraf. But when the Yahweh said to Moses, make you a fiery serpent, number 21 verse 8, he said, make you a seraph. And in obeying the command, we read in verse 9, Moses made a nakash of brass. So the brass becomes the symbol, purely the symbol, a serpent. What did he say? That if anybody could see the serpent, they could live. So we have to see that the serpent is, as you put it on, the shirt and the pants, the serpent every day. It is the flesh. It is physical creation. Nakash is thus used as being interchangeable with seraph. Now, if seraph is used as a serpent because its bite was burning, and he's making this interpretation that may not be the point that we really need to make here, but we'll just follow because I know where it's going. And it's also used have a celestial or spirit, or the etheric burning, the burning one. Well, what burns other than the sun, the light itself, which is the prime serpent in mythology? Why should not the Nakash be used of a serpent because its appearance was shining, and be also used of a celestial spirit being a shining one? He's just posing the question. Indeed, the reference to the structure in Genesis 3 on page 7 will show that the cherubim, which are similar to celestial in nature, and the cherubim means the fiery red beams, so that's what the cherubims are. It's the sun setting and the sun rising. It creates the mythology, as we also see it in Greek mythology. And they create character types that describe these events that occur in nature. They put character on it, and that's what happens, and that's where the misinterpretation is derived from what is really a symbol. And then all of a sudden they become invisible beings that fly through the air, which is not the case. It is physical creation that we are dealing with. Okay, and the last verse, Genesis 3:24, requires a similar idea to correspond with the first verse. For the structure of the word chapter is a great introversion. The Nakash, or serpent, what is being called the serpent, who beguiled Keva, Eve, in 2 Corinthians 11:3, is spoken of as a royal messenger of light. See, the word angel, again, was another word that they interjected in our scriptures because it would have been Malik. Malik means royal messenger. Mother tongue, actually, mother tongue. And, of course, we know snakes don't talk either.
Yeah.
But who did speak and who actually had the gift of communication other than Adam himself? Okay, so he is the messenger of light. He is the one who came down from the Eden and placed in the garden, and that's when it said he fell asleep. And then when he wakes up, what does he see next? But his naked counterpart. All with the design, both of them, to engage in this affair that was to be symbolic purely of the fall. And the woman gets the rap, but he was the one who knew everything, and she was naive. She was naive, meaning in darkness. That's why it says evening. We see evening when it's getting dark, because she knew nothing. He knew everything. Okay? Have we not, continuing now with Bollinger, have we not said this a clear? Have we not in this a clear imitation of what was not a snake, but a glorious, enlightened being, apparently a royal messenger, to whom Eve paid such great deference, acknowledging him as one who seemed to possess superior knowledge, and who was evidently a being of a superior, not of an inferior, order? Stand by. Moreover, in the description of Adam as in the King of Tyr, that's where I read that. This is where I got that site and found it. And the Tyr, of course, is correctly Azor, and we find it in Fenton. And so Tyr is again a cover word, just like all the other cover words. And it was Azor, and Azor is the sun. You see, it's soaring through the sky. It's the Azor. The A, as you know in that picture you put up periodically of the A, is right there in the sun because it represents the first letter of the alphabet, the first symbol in creation, and a compass from a point projecting out to infinity. So, as the king of Zoré, he is distinctly implied that the latter being was of a supernatural order. Well, he was, if he was, that's why they could build those monuments that nobody can reproduce today. We can't even figure out how they did it, let alone have the equipment to accomplish all that they did. When he called the cherub in Ezekiel, the garden of the Elohim. The Elohim means enlightened, the bright and shining one. We're supposed to be like stars. Remember, we're told through Abraham Haim, the story, that we are supposed to be like stars in heaven. We are supposed to be like stars. And that the seed of Abraham Haim, who transcend this world, will be as the stars stars of the cosmos. It is also clearly stated as well as being perfect in beauty. Okay, so perfect among all the other races. Who gets the distinction for having the most profound quality in creation but the Aryan race, which with the blonde hair, the blue eyes, and the white skin, taller than most, right? This what they call the sky gods, the sun gods, the sons of fire.
Yeah, am I supposed to be answering? Sorry, I'm listening. You're
okay? No, you get it? Are you following?
I'm following. You're getting very passionate, and yeah, I just sit back and listen when you get like that. Yeah.
All right.
It's cool. I like listening.
His being perfect in his ways. In other words, okay, let me just stop right there for a minute and qualify it. The Aryan race, you see, Yeshua, the first made of all in the universe, had to create a race lineage of people that he was going to descend through, right? So he was going to come down through the Aryan line. This is not about Aryanism, nor to say that the Aryans are better than anybody else. That is not a part of this presentation. We are all equal in the eyes of Yahweh. But we're talking about a distinction of a culture that was chosen by Yahweh for his purpose to create a line that would then bring forth the Mashiach, the Messiah, that would then deliver truth to mankind. Adam was supposed to do that. He had the capability. The Aryan race had that ability to bring that truth to mankind because they knew about the order of all things in the universe. But because of the egocentric qualities of the serpent, which is the flesh, it was given that they would fall into the delusion of matter. And so Yeshua knew that. And so he had already made provision. You get it?
Yeah, so that's why I was questioning last time in the last stream. Remember how I said why, if it was already known, already planned, why were we put here in the first place? And that just explained it a bit better.
Right. Well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
so the firstborn is in the fall.
Yeah.
And this is why we have to become secondborn, because we transcend the flesh into spirit.
Yeah.
By nature.
Yeah.
Okay. And so they fell from the light into the darkness and said, "Hey, I kind of like it down here," you know.
Yeah. And the nature of the physical world. That's how it was known ahead of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And so now Adam rebreathed when he offended his buddy Yeshua, who he had been with for all that time. he immediately turned around. His heart turned around. You see, but as we read the story, which much of it is removed from the scriptures, but it's especially found in the forgotten books of Eden and the books of Enoch, and that at one point there was then the fallen ones who were called the Watchers, who were the brothers and cousins of and the children of Adam and Adam and Eve and the cousins of Enoch and the brothers of Enoch, and they decided they wanted to go down and mate with the children of Cain, those beautiful red-headed spotted women, and so they were enticed, and of course by the lack of clothing, of course, would also be an enticement, and the artistic quality of their jewelry and the other things. They were all, everything
all their
was there
bling.
for enticement.
Yeah, all their decorated with their jewelry and their bling. Yeah.
But they realized also that the children of Cain were ignorant, that they had walked away from knowledge. They had gone into the land of Nod, which means to go down further into the delusion of this world. And so they were into entertainment and parties and drinking and just having a good time. And then the Aryans came down, had engaged with them with some form of commerce and said, you know what, we can enslave all these people in a heartbeat and take all their women. And it said that, they didn't even put up a struggle. They didn't want these these Aryans who were so smart and already, had their swords drawn, to kill them. And so they said, okay, take our women, just, and then they became the warfaring class, the redhead spotted Celtic, who were called the Celtic, and they became the sea mariners and the Phoenicians as well, also called Canaanites. All of them were the offspring of Cain, the Canaanites. And and we see the remnants of them on the islands of Ireland, place of irony, and the Celtic cross for their gravestones represents the most ancient navigation symbol for the ancient mariners, was used as a compass to navigate around the globe. And so all the all the hallmarks are everywhere on this legacy and story, but nobody's telling the story, and the pieces of the puzzle are all fragmented. So I'm attempting to bring them here to light. So the Watchers all fell. The first of them were 200, and they were the where they took the oath, the blood oath, that if anyone betrays each other, they would be killed. They took their oath at Mount Hermon, which was the symbol for the great deception that they were to institute on mankind. And the UN apparently has their the little hallmark satellite up there on top of Mount Hermon today, sort of like memorializing that event. But so I'm going to continue on now, because Bullinger is the only one who is pointing out what this picture is all about someone who is so fantastically enlightened that it defies. And so who was the first made? Go back, and read those first two chapters. The first made was Adam, and he was taken up to the throne of the sun. And then he's there naming everything as everything is being made on earth. And there were many processions. It's not like we've been told, that even Fenton says in his translation that the earth was made, that the entire cosmos and our earth was made in 6 great periods. 6 great periods is like, look at the universe, okay? Look at all the geological evidence around you. Open the eyes and see from geology that we have been here for, according to geological record, the earth has been here about 3.5 billion years. And it looks like they got it right. But the whole universe has been here about 6 billion years. So if the earth was finally formed, and how long it took for the water to congeal and the land to cool, but then finally when a volcano gushes forth, where it says in the mist, in the King James, that there was a mist in the garden. Well, it wasn't a mist, it was a volcano explosion, and the fiery magma poured, and poured onto the earth. And then the next thing that happened was, then it says Adam was formed. All right, Adam was formed, and that's why they said, when they say he's called Adam, means red earth. It doesn't mean red earth, not we're made from the dirt. It means the fiery. It means the blood of the earth, the fiery magma. Even Native American culture calls him blood clot boy. What part of blood
really?
clot don't you know? Oh yeah.
I didn't know that. Wow.
That's why I study universal mythology worldwide, because all the myths are telling the creation
you got to
story.
look for the
Compare them.
Yeah, the common element in all of them. Yeah.
Absolutely. So they said in Native American tradition, they said the first man was called Blood Clot Boy, so they wouldn't forget it. They could always get the picture.
I just think that's hilarious. Blood clot
right.
boy.
We have to go. Once we can go on the basis that we've been lied to, we no longer have to be controlled by the narrative and left under the spell of deception.
Yeah.
So I'll continue. I'll pick it up here. I think I qualified, backtrack a little to requalify, because in other words, Yeshua was going to use one particular race. I'll backtrack to last program. He was going to use one particular race. And so just like Yeshua, the first atom, A-T-O-M, is the creator of the entire universe for Yahweh. The Adam becomes the first made on earth. So Yeshua is the first made in the universe. So Adam is the first made on earth, an archetype of an archetype.
Yeah.
And so because he was the first made on earth, the first actual, what we call human, or, man, he's taken up to the throne of the sun. The atom, the symbol of the atom, what's invisible to us, is visible in the sun. A collection of atoms of pure virgin Adam is up there in the Paradisia with Yeshua, while he brings forth all of the creation now upon the earth, the vegetation, all the animals. And so when he finally comes down with this head knowledge, what the Aryan race is destined to do, unlike the primitives, what they could not do with their limited knowledge, was that the Aryan race was going to take this knowledge, capitalize upon it, and create another matrix of a civilization that we are the beneficiaries of today, with all of this high technology, skyscrapers, airplanes, you name it, right?
Yep. You made me...
that knowledge.
Sorry, you made me think of something, but please continue. I'll hang on to it until you're done. Yeah.
If it's relative to what we're talking about, you can jump in.
Oh, it kind of. I don't know what it was you just said that reminded me, but you know how you were talking about the spider being the spy? I could just see all these parallels and connections. Like I've seen lots throughout this past year, especially of research. But what I saw the other day was the obvious connection with the World Wide Web, like the internet.
Yeah.
That it is that's a and it spies on us, and it's a web around the planet. And yeah, that was the main one I saw the other day.
Yeah, in other words, everything they engineer has a back door and is used against us, even though we enjoy it, right?
Yes. There's parallels and common themes and connections all over the place. Once you start seeing the big picture.
We go there to be entertained, and in the end, they're going to use it to kill us.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what's going on. That's the ancient Vekoresh. The original word for watcher is the Vekoresh, the knowledge of the way of the movement of all things. That's the Vekoresh.
Wow.
Vekoresh, and it's converted into watcher, but we see them today in the Vatican known as the vicars.
Wow.
The cardinals. Yeah. Dressed in red, wearing red like Santa Claus.
Yeah. Lovely. Yeah.
So you see, so the most superior creation of all the different types of mankind, the African, who we call the Asian, the Cro-Magnon, Neanderthal, Upper Arcus, and how many dozens of others we're not aware of, and other giants at different periods of time. We see evidence in stone, their footprints. That finally at the end was going to come a race that had the most superior knowledge of them all, that could then construct another matrix of a civilization. And the question would be why? Because I remember I elaborated on that. What was so important about having this superior knowledge that Yeshua could take advantage of is because if we were if he wanted to have a harvest of people that would serve him properly, it's about numbers, right? And just like you see oak tree, growing up in New Jersey, we had lots of big oak trees. And so an oak tree, you may drop a million seeds in a year. I don't know how many, but we could say a million and think it's close to that, the big ones. And yet the tree will drop them every year, and never will an oak tree sprout. And then one day after 20 years, one of those little seeds will sprout. The same when a man and woman come together and making love. The man releases several million sporum, and yet how many times do they make love and they never have a baby? Then one day, all of a sudden, after 5 years of making love, then they have a baby, right? So how many had to die so that one could live, right? How many? Millions.
Yeah.
Millions.
Yeah.
Millions. Because that's the laws of nature. Just like how many other planets are out there with life on them? We don't know any. We don't know any. We could speculate that there probably is another planet out there with life on it. It's most likely. Nature seems to talk that way, but yet we don't know them, and we don't see them unless we think aliens are real.
Yeah.
Okay. So in order to bring forth a giant population on the planet industrial machinations had to evolve. Harvesting of crops, mass production, the benefits of casual living, building structures, all of the things that could accommodate millions and millions, and then ultimately 7 billion people on Earth. It's quite a matrix, is it not?
It is. Yes, it is.
Right.
Quite
so,
a matrix. Yep.
So with that knowledge, they created a support mechanism for all of the people that are on the planet. We could not have done it with grass huts and caves.
No, we couldn't
have.
No.
So now we have books.
Yep.
We have books in front of us. We can read and we can learn about the one who made all things, and then have the ability to then be able to transcend this lower matrix of deception and come to the higher order of things. But yet it says that many will be called and few were saved. And because he wanted to bring in as many in his pure civilization, in his pure realm of light, as he could muster, he used them. He gave them that knowledge so that they would be arrogant within themselves, like the Freemasons are and the Vatican assassins are, and to engineer their secret world of deception, while at the same time he used them for his own benefit to bring forth the civilization that would have nothing to do with their scam, and to be able to transcend this world. In simple terms, that's how I'm putting it. Without elaborating further.
You explained it well anyway. Don't ask me to repeat it, but you explained it very well.
Yeah.
I followed.
In other words, they're the scapegoat.
Yeah.
They are the proverbial scapegoat. We're told about it in the scriptures. There's one that's going, and there's one that is not going.
Yeah.
And because they knew that they sold out their birthright, and that they were bound in chains to this earth forever, which is what the scripture says, although we never get the picture of who it's talking about in reality, the fallen ones are the Aryan race of the ancient watchers that we see clearly in the Vatican, even though they let Africans in, same with Freemasonry, but they're just using them because it's an Aryan race at its core in the Brahmic tradition. That when they're so because they're not going and they hate Yahweh because they know they're the enemy, they know they sold out, so therefore they worked overtime 24/7 to make sure they did everything to deceive the populations of the world so that they wouldn't know who they are, where they are, why they are, nor when they are. And that in the end, they decided they're going to take down the entire world, destroy it, and the middle finger to Yahweh, creating the black sun, which is what they're symbolic of, the black sun. It's Luciferian, serving their goddess symbolized by the moon. And when the very statement was made that, if we do this thing, honey, when the bright one decided he was tempted by the beauty of his counterpart and wanted to have interrelations with her, and said, no, honey, if we do this thing, we won't die. We will become enlightened, like the great Elohim up in the sky. And then what happened? They find out, they woke up to their carnal knowledge, and I had a point I was going to make now, it's escaping me. So that's I'm having a senior moment now. But the point is that they had the potential, in other words, to do everything. In other words, the real crime here in Adam, and what Adam did is not the act of the intercourse, the forbidden fruit, which is where in the Septuagint it says when she gave them the fruit, she gave him pleasure. She gave him pleasure. It says it literally in the Septuagint. But the discovering of their own biological makeup was not the real crime, because it was a given that it was meant to be. It was meant to be.
Yeah.
But the crime was that he lied to her.
Yeah.
You see, he lied to her. And so when Yahweh's walking in the garden, and that means when the sun is rising. I remember now what I was going to say about the sun and moon. I'll get to that. I'll back up, because when he says, "No, honey, if we do this thing, we will be like the Elohim," to know the difference between the sun and the moon. That's the original thought, because the sun and moon represents light and darkness, and therefore the abstract of that is to know good and evil. But in the original, it's to know the difference between the sun and the moon. Okay? And so when they heard Yahweh walking in the garden, they heard, because it was the sunrise and the birds were singing, and so they knew he was walking in the garden because the sunrise had come. Almost said morning.
Oh.
Again, too. And so when they heard him, they went and hid behind the bushes, right? And he's walking, and he says, Adam, actually Adam, Dictum, Keva, not Eve, but Keva. That's the original word. And he says, where are you? Well, we're over here hiding. How come? Well, we in fact figured out we were naked. Oh, what did you do? Well, the woman, you gave me. She gave me. And I. So I didn't want it. And so then he goes to her. Well, how come you did this thing? She said, well, the serpent that you gave me beguiled me. Who is the serpent? Ninja?
Of course. Yep.
Adam.
Yep.
He beguiled her.
Yep.
She was tricked, and she got the blame. The woman gets the blame for everything because woman represents creation.
Yep.
Matter is mother.
Yep.
You see? So it's a story to tell us a story.
Yeah.
They had to come to us in pictures so we would know who we are, where we are, why we are, and when we are in this narrative. You see?
Yeah.
And so, so it's all a great mystery, and it's beautiful because no matter, even though they were in the fall, and when it says, and cursed is the earth because of you, serpent, he was cursing the earth. He was cursing matter, not the spirit. You didn't kill him. You didn't, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That he still loved Adam. He still loved Keva because they were being used for this drama that played out. And what did he tell them? If we read the lost books of the Bible and other scriptures, the first and second books of Adam and Eve that came out of Ethiopia, he says, I'm going to save you. Don't worry. It's okay. I'm going to save you. And in 6,000 years, I will come down to earth, and I will deliver you and bring you back to the first estate that you fell from. So already the provision before the creation began was made, so that this drama had to play out. And then in the end, who ultimately becomes the real scapegoat, the one that was tortured and beaten and mocked and ridiculed and nailed to a cross? He knew from the beginning he was going to do that for all of us to be the end product of that perfect creation that he wanted to make. Is that not a profound saga of our universe? That the one who made all things was willing to come down and to endure and suffer all of that for our benefit?
Wow.
To show his love?
Wow.
For his people?
Yeah. I'm just, it's just things are opening up. I'm just seeing other parallels with everything. Wow, I'm just thinking along the lines of I don't know how to explain it. Things, beings, I don't know, robots turning on their creator, and that's what happened. That's what happened. Human beings turned on their creator. Yeah.
Well, we see the story also in of this saga I'm referring to about the fallen watchers in the story of Yaakov, Jacob, when his sons betray him and they want to kill his son Joseph, and they instead of killing him, they sold him into slavery, and he goes down into Meitzar with the Ishmaelites in the caravan. And so they you might as well just say they killed him, because they did. They killed their brother. So you see, that's the story being retold, because what did it say about, because Yaakov means seed of light, and so Jacob represents the sun in the story, just like Adam represents the sun, just like Abraham represents the sun. And so what did it say that Yaakov did? He grieved. Well, in other words, see, so we see that what is the story of the Watchers? They wanted to sell mankind into slavery. And so we find that the 10 brothers out of 12, the 10 bigger brothers, all decided they were going to get rid of Joseph because his father loved him more, and so that they killed him by selling him into slavery, which is exactly what the Aryan race did to us.
Yeah.
And so to show the love that Yahweh has for us in this story, if you read in the book of Jasher in particular, I believe it is, we find out that it says he cried every day for 20 years for his son. And that's to create the full picture from the sellout to the compassion for his only loved seed. You see. So we can get the pictures when we can properly interpret the words and then the imagery within these stories, because it is a high drama that is talking about the cosmological creation of our universe and the whole purpose and intent of the one who made all things in this drama. And this is what has been squashed from us by priesthoods and the ones who wanted to sell us into slavery, you see. So shall I read further?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah,
all right.
I'm loving it.
I'll pick it back up. All right. So I think if I have any voice left, I may not. I'm not sure. But I'll tell you what. Because this is a long story. It's a big story, and I'm telling where my voice is right now. I probably need to wrap it up. Is there any follow up you want to do on our wonderful friends out there, who've been tuning in for the last almost a year now with me. If anybody has a comment or a question, I can entertain that, but not nonsense, certainly.
No, everyone's just wowing.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's let me read down. I'll just read down to the bottom of this page, and I got the other half. I've got actually more out of this read that is still twice as much as what I will have read already. And I'll save that for Tuesday. But because I can feel it now. Let me.
Yeah, I can feel the drop in your energy. I know when you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, his presence in Eden, the garden of the Elohim, which is the sun, is also clearly stated as well as his being perfect in beauty. That's where we left off. He was the perfect creation, and that's what the Aryan represented. That's what you see in what we saw with the Teutonic Knights in Nazi Germany, right, where they're waving their flags and marching. That's why they could capture the Aryan movement like that in Germany, because they knew they had a very important legacy, that was behind them. Most of the Aryans don't know the history like even we're talking about it now. They know that the Aryan race was significant within history, but this all been hidden from us, you see. So they have the essence of it. And this is also where we get the word arrogant from, Aryan, arrogant. It's not, and as you know, this is when we talk about words, we can go in a lot of different directions. Orion, Orion, represents it is Aryan. Orion is Aryan. It's
that
all
makes perfect
in the story
sense.
here. So
That makes perfect
even
sense.
the star constellation itself represents them. And Orion is pointing his bow and arrow at the Alpha, at the letter A, which is a pyramid, and they want us to think is a bull. But it's the pyramid that he's pointing at, you see? And so even they had a star constellation that represented them, meaning the beginning of creation, the first letter of the alphabet, pointing his bow and arrow at the letter A. It's in the stars themselves, the sky gods, And that's why they could tell people, go to work, slave, let's start building those pyramids. You see that stars up there? That's talking about us now. Let's get to work, slave. And people were happy to, to organize and to get fed. They fed their slaves, and they didn't teach them how to read, though, right away. And then when they did, they abbreviated all the words so they could never get the full picture of who they were, And so let me continue here.
Please
all right.
do.
So in his being perfect in his ways from the day he was created to until iniquity was found in him. Iniquity was inequity, meaning he lied. As a being lifted up because of his beauty. There's Adam. And I'm going to close that part right there because I'm really talked out, and that'll be well pick it up next week. It is the what they didn't want you to know, Ninja, but we tell right here on the Forbidden History series because somebody's got to do it. I guess I'm just a glutton for punishment for that. All right.
Yep. And I'm glad you choose to be the glutton for punishment, Desert.
And I'm glad you're here to help produce the program for me, or we wouldn't be doing it. How about that?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll take the credit for that one then.
All right. We can say it's your fault then, right?
No.
Anybody? It's her fault. Okay. We wouldn't be here if it weren't for Ninja, and but I'm so grateful, Ninja, because the Father brings people together for a reason, and they collaborate, and between you and just a very few of our dear friends that are listening in today, we couldn't have been doing this production because I over the last several months several weeks and a couple months have through the friends that have supported and made some donations, I've been able to acquire a series of books that I absolutely needed to help piece a few things together because it's I've acquired several Indo-Germanic dictionaries now that are crucial to this defining words, and so it's all opening up, and I'm so grateful to all of you that are tuned in. This is not for me, it's for all of us. We all want to transcend this lousy, stinking, dirty, rotten world that has deceived our friends and sold them into slavery and wants to drink their blood and torture them to death.
Yeah. Sorry, I thought you were. I thought you were on the right.
I know that's a hard one to follow. Forgive me, okay, but as you know, I get a little caught up in it every now and then. So there's no time for fooling around. People are out there playing games. They think they're, I don't know anything, okay? I define it the way Paul did. I count everything I've ever learned as worthless in comparison to the knowledge of our creation, of our Redeemer, and of who we are, where we are, why we are. That's the only knowledge that's relevant. I'm not here to be entertained. I don't go out for entertainment, or those type of things. I'm studying 24/7.
Yeah.
And because that was the purpose, was to come here and to wake up to that. Wait a minute, this is not my home. Whoa. Okay, I better get to work. Because tomorrow may not come for many people. But if we have real love, we love our families. We will want them to transcend as well. And so there's a lot of work we have to do on ourselves before we can even help anybody else.
Yeah.
I'm still having to work on self.
Yeah.
And I don't know all the answers. I know some of the answers, and I'm overwhelmed at the things that I've learned that I never even considered, that I pondered, or how do you describe learning the deeper mysteries that you didn't even know existed, the elements of those patterns and creation. So many
wow moments, Desert. I know how hard you're working. I know you're reading and reading and reading, and you wouldn't have been able to do that if your computer didn't break.
They got all the money. We don't have any money, but we get it done on a song, a wing, and a prayer. And so our wonderful friends out there have kept this ministry alive over the last several months when we've been down for an account. And the books have saved me because it gave me something to do while I was ramping back up. We're almost back on the broadcast now. We're with you 3 times a week, and you can give out that information how we're on. But I just want everyone to know I'm so grateful because from a grassroots level, since the grassroots support have come in, we have been able to define things in a deeper way than we had when we started. I'm overwhelmed. I'm pinching myself, realizing how the divine presence is so great for us, and will want so much to save us from this worthless piece of real estate.
Yeah. Well, wow. Yeah. Thank you. I'm really grateful for your help. And I'd like to speak on behalf of everybody in the chat. They're all hearting, and I'm hoping you can see the chat at the moment. It's very colourful.
Well, I got it closed out. I'll open it up, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, I want to speak on behalf of everybody. Yeah, I'm extremely grateful for all the work you're doing, and for your help and support, just friendship, on and off air. So yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, thank you for all those wonderful comments. I'm just seeing them now, and I get distracted, so I don't look at the screen when I'm talking, because it's too much of a distraction, and I want to stay focused. So so many wonderful friends I've met over the last several months, this past year on internet. Lynn is always right there, whenever the broadcast starting, and she just does a great job. And Yalov also, and with her, we're going to get her reading again real soon on the halftime break as well, and everybody else. I'm just grateful to all of you to be a part of this. It's about sharing, and I just wanted to know, I ended up with a flesh and blood daughter, and after I brought her in the world, I thought it was bittersweet to bring a life into this world and then not know how I was going to give her the true salvation that I wanted her to have. So I just knew there was a problem with religion in general, and I knew that I didn't know the answers, but I knew there were some problems. I could see the problems and the deceptions and the falsehood and the 600 different versions of Christianity. Wait a minute, okay, one Lord, one faith, one baptism, and yet we got 600 different flavors. Just have it your way. It can't be. So I had to go to unraveling this mystery, and I ended up with 60 different versions of the Bible, 2,000 books on the shelf. I've lost all of them now, but I could save about 10% of those books, the most important for the translation project. But it was about, I wanted to offer my daughter truth. I wanted it for me, but I wanted it for her. So there was no other agenda here. It was just how do the bittersweet. Well, geez, how is my daughter going to transcend? Is she going to live forever? Is she going to suffer? And I wanted to give her the truth. So she was my biggest inspiration and motivation in this mission here. And so I now across the barrier and feel like I'm in the deeper water where nobody dares to go, and I'm all alone out here, because I don't hear anybody talking about these things that are so important to me and that have been clearly made evident through the scriptures by piercing the veil of the corrupted text and the work of the priesthoods that they did over time to us.
Wow, I can't respond to that one. That's just, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let there be light. How about that?
Let there be light. That's a good one. Yeah.
Well, actually, it's let the Azar appear is what it should have said, and then there was Zorian. Then there was Zorian. Zorian is light, and so it was let the Azar appear is what it should have said, meaning let the sun appear, and the breath breathed into it. The spirit said, spirit moved upon the cosmic waters, but the spirit is the breath, and it breathed into the star. Said let the Azar appear, and there was, and there is, not there was, and there still is. Since then, there still is Zorian, the light. That's the light, Zorian.
So
we can hear in the terminology. It's a power word.
So
it's
we can say, sorry. We can say, let there be Zorion. Would that be correct way of saying?
Well, my point is, when it said let there be light and there was light, remember last program I said I found it interesting when I did a search this week, and I said, okay, when is the first time the sun is being mentioned? And the first time the sun is mentioned in Genesis is chapter 15. How did that happen? How did that happen? What about the sun? You know? And so what it was, the correct statement in verse 3 of Genesis chapter 1 is when it said that the Spirit moved upon the waters, what it meant was the breath of Yahweh,
Yeah.
his essence, was moving upon the cosmic ocean up there in the darkness of space, and then it breathed into the gaseous orb of atoms, that is our sun, and breathed in there and said, and so what it would have first said was, let the Azar is the sun, the Azar appear, and there was Zorean, you see, Zorean, and in there you can even hear the word Aryan, can't you?
Yeah,
Zorean.
yeah.
You see, and there it is. So this is the stuff they hid from us. They hate the light, so they removed the sun, and it's not mentioned till the 15th chapter. Just go do a search for sun in the Strong's Concordance, chapter 15. So you can see the evidence is clear. How can the sun not be mentioned as the first thing in creation when it was the first made thing?
Yeah, it's just logic. But that's the thing.
Verse
People,
3.
yeah, people don't even question it, does it? So I'm so glad you did.
Well, the question is, where did the light come from? It came from the star, the sun.
Yeah.
Those are cute graphics you got up here, Ninja. I love that one. You're calling yourself Nunya. You're really doing a great job. Okay, I'm watching it right now while we're talking.
I'm so glad you can see the screen finally, Desert, during these streams.
Yeah, I'm getting there. I'm working my way back to it. So
I'm glad you like the graphics. There it is again for you. Any second.
Right. So, okay, well, I think we've done enough damage for the day then, and if there's no further, you don't have any other questions, and just give out if they do want to make a donation, because there's still a couple more books I need to get, and we do this on a grassroots level, and it's very challenging. So if anybody wanted to make a contribution, they can do that by going to therealpublicradio.net and therealpublicradio.net, and then once they're there, they'll see the PayPal button, or they can just if they just want to go to the YouTube, or not YouTube, but PayPal. It's contact@freeamericaradio.com, contact@freeamericaradio.com, and that's how they can support. If they want to just send $5 a month or something, that would make a big difference in the effort, because the more support we have, the more we can do. This translation project, in other words, I've been sitting on the Book of Wisdom. I've literally got the most powerful Book of Wisdom right now by Joseph of Arimathea. Nobody even knows it exists, basically.
Yeah.
By Joseph of Arimathea, the great uncle of Yeshua. It's the greatest Book of Wisdom ever written, 22 chapters, and I want to get it to people in prison primarily, because they're sitting on a concrete slab with nothing to do, and this is the greatest book of spirituality ever written, outside of our Bible, itself, and so we want to publish, and then everybody can get a copy, if they support the work. So if everybody will consider it, they should know that this work has been a labor of love all my life, and there's no, I still suffer persecution today. There's no good deed goes unpunished, and therefore Yeshua said you will be persecuted. So I always want to ask people, so how's your persecution going? Mine's right on cue. But most the people out there in the shallow waters of the bay aren't experiencing any persecution, because they're not really on the battleground where you need to be. So I know that some of our friends actually do have their own persecution. They're going through a number of them, and that's why they fell in here, like yourself, because what's happened to some of us isolated us, and then brought us all together. So certainly some of us here do, beyond myself, have been experiencing it, and so that's why they're here, because the truth matters, and and so I just hope that everybody gets the picture, because our days are shorter than we can imagine, and we want to be able to have victory of light when we depart, because it will be a great struggle at the end for most of us, one way or another. And Lynn is going through persecution as well, and so is her family. And I keep her in my creation of light as well, of Zorian, and as well for you, Ninja, and others out here as well. So okay, so thank you again for going to bat for the truth, and may you live forever, Ninja. Okay, and I'm counting on it.
Yeah.
I intend to see you on the other side, or I'm going to be really upset with you. Okay?
I'll be there. I'll be there. I haven't come this far to No, I haven't come this far to be refused entry once, at the gates. I'll be there.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Just keep your hands to the plow. Keep looking forward. It's hard you get rocks in the way sometimes, and it's hard to get around them with the plow.
Yeah.
We have to, maybe get over there and pull the rock out of the ground, but just keep on rolling, okay?
Yeah, I'm doing it. I've had a few hurdles lately, and I know I've changed for the better. My reactions are different. They're the complete opposite, and I'm less emotional, like with all the negative emotions whenever something challenging comes along. And I never would have said the word challenging in that sentence before. I would have said bad or something else.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a slow progress, but I'm getting there. Yeah, so I will see you on the other side, Desert, and thank you very much for your assistance with that. Thank you.
All right. And so I'll look for you at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday then, and we'll pick it up where we left off with the story and the legacy of Adam.
Yeah,
and the one who had too much knowledge.
Yeah, so can't wait.
We'll figure it out.
Okay.
We'll see you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Peace.
Okay, and you heard it here first, on the Forbidden History Chronicles with Ninja Cat 111 and Dezert-Owl from the Forbidden History series. All the necessary links are in the description. As per usual, feel free to contact Desert or myself with any questions. If I can't answer a question, I will pass it on to Desert. Love you guys. This was amazing as per usual. I'm so glad we're back and we're doing the Chronicles, and we're going to keep going for as long as we can. Okay, see you guys Tuesday. Technically Wednesday for me, but yeah. 9:30 Tuesday, 9:30 a.m. Tuesday, US Eastern Standard Time. Alright, see you guys, and let there be light.